Mind giving an overview a little bit of customer journey and why it's so important and why it helps?
Yeah, the best way that we kind of describe what customer journey is like that checklist of items that you can template for specific processes that your company, your department, your team may have to kind of always follow when they're doing a certain particular process within your business. So for example, you know, if I look in our demo instance here, there's a couple of demo ones that we have. So in this case, on the accounts module, we've got yearly account planning with a customer. So typically you don't want to have to start that journey manually. You want to have the system do that for you. That is why with the Sugar BPM, you kind of can start that and automate it without somebody manually going in and starting that process there. So let's see if this is going to start for me. There we go. So when you look at it, you're basically saying, hey, within this specific process, in this case, a yearly account planning with a customer, I've got 4 stages. These stages are actually representing quarters in this case, but they could represent really anything that you would need to for, you know, your particular use case. And within each of these quarters, these are certain action items and activities or tasks or whatever that I need to actually check off and mark off that I did based on the process. So for example, Q1, Jim, since that's who I'm have these assigned out to, we started this, we said, hey, that has to be done within 24 hours of actually the process starting. So today's June 4th, it's already automatically creating those activities set for June 5th. And he's got to run through all of these items here. And then once he's done with that, he's done with this Q1 for this case. Q2, he'll go through these items. Q3, he'll do these. Q4, he'll do these. But all these records in the system have already been set up for Jim. Jim doesn't have to remember what that checklist is actually supposed to include. He doesn't have to go in and manually make all of these kinds of things. They're already set up. He's just got to go in, put in whatever information he needs to for them, check them off, complete them, and move on. So when I look down at the related panels here for Spindle, you'll see that we have some scheduled items for calls, some scheduled items for meetings. We have some not started tasks. So all of these actually didn't exist until I started that journey. So since these are all activity types of actions and records, the system's making all of those, depending on the types that they are, which is based on our template, and it's assigning it and relating it back to Spindle Broadcast. So whether I'm sitting on my phone, sitting within Outlook, SugarConnect, sitting on the web, as long as I can bring up one of these calls or meetings or tasks and complete them, I don't have to actually go in and check each one of these off. As soon as I mark those as being done, they'll be marked as done when I'm actually viewing it in this type of view here. So if I say, well, you know, check status, support is turnover, that's just a task item here. So if I said this one is completed, and then we're going to go back to Spindle here. So that one is now checked off. And one of the things you might notice too is that some of these actually don't have checkboxes on them. So like Q1 meeting, for example. That's because we've actually put in a little bit of a block here and say, well, you can't actually complete the Q1 meeting until you've actually done the booking of the Q1 meeting. So Jim actually needs to book and complete this task of actually creating the meeting before completing the meeting itself within this is going to be available for him to do. So there is a little bit of, you know, some rules you can set in place to make sure people aren't necessarily jumping around through stages and not following the process like they're supposed to be.